former U.S. First Lady, Michelle Obama, has made some surprisingly candid admissions in her forthcoming memoir. Michelle Obama has revealed that she had a miscarriage and used in vitro fertilization, or IVF, to conceive her two daughters. She also details a rough patch in her marriage and talks about the toughest day she faced while in the White House. Michelle has written about how she reacted in shock the night she learned he would replace her husband in the Oval Office and tried to, quote-unquote, block it all out. The former First Lady has also blasted President Donald Trump in her new book. She has denounced Trump's birther campaign, questioning her husband's citizenship. She calls it bigoted and dangerous. The former U.S. First Lady is about to embark on a book tour titled Becoming, an intimate conversation with Michelle Obama. Reflecting on her memoir, Michelle Obama will chronicle the experiences that have shaped her life, from her childhood on the south side of Chicago to her time spent at the White House. In the meanwhile, Michelle Obama's fans in the United Kingdom were left disappointed after tickets to her book talk quickly sold out. They have emerged on secondary ticketing websites for up to $13,000 each. This translates to almost 9.5 lakh Indian rupees. More than 60,000 people rushed to buy the tickets, although the London venue can seat just about 2,700 people. Tickets were sold out within minutes and emerged just hours later on online sites such as Viagogo, 50 times pricier than their value. And we have Krissa Thompson of the Washington Post joining us for more on this big story that we're tracking. Krissa, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on Wion World is One. Would it be fair to say that Michelle Obama's book has been headlined by her sharing something as emotional as the choice to have babies through IVF?
I can at the top. You were asking about her revealing that she had her daughters through IVF. Okay. So in the book, Michelle Obama does reveal that she had both of her daughters through IVF after undergoing a miscarriage. She talks about what that was like for her, just the difficulty emotionally, and what she learned from that experience. And she says that women should be talking about these kinds of things more in public. And these are the kinds of conversations that she wants to be having around her book, just sharing some of her life lessons. And so that's one of the things that has people talking today.
All right, and how caustic is the criticism of one Mr. Donald Trump? In the book, we hear Michelle hasn't pulled any punches on that count.
So she does say that she will never forgive Donald Trump for being a part of promoting the false birther conspiracy against conspiracy theory about her husband. With his birth certificate, people were saying maybe he wasn't born in the U.S. And that is one of the ways that Donald Trump really began to talk about his own political ambitions. And she takes us back to that time for herself and how, when that conversation was ongoing, the threats against her family and her own worries about her daughters and their safety grew. And she felt like Donald Trump was in part responsible for putting her family at risk. And so just the kind of emotional hurt and pain she talks about does really come through in the book. And it carries over until the 2016 election, when she talks about how furious she was when she heard that Access Hollywood tape where Donald Trump was caught on a hot mic talking about grabbing women, and just that she was shocked when he was elected. So these are some very direct comments, and the most direct comments she's made about him since his election.
All right, Krissa, what else then does the book talk about, and more importantly, how interesting a read is it?
So it really does cover the entire sweep of her life, from growing up in Chicago, and she talks about what that city was like during her childhood. She talks about some of the real characters in her family and how they shaped her. She is very self-reflective. during the period of her 30s when she's coming into her own as a woman and growing in her career, having children and thinking about the kind of impact she wants to make on the world. You know, she's a little more selective about what she shares about her experience in the White House, but she does talk about race. She does talk about, you know, some of the criticism that she faced. She talks about really, after 10 years living in the political spotlight, not loving politics, not enjoying politics. And she does say very definitively that she will not run for office.
All right, Krista, if I were to simply ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how high or how low would you rate this book?
I think that even if you followed Michelle Obama's career really closely, you're still going to learn some things from this book. And based on how she's selling out arenas across the country here, and I hear even in London, I think that people who are fans of hers are going to rate it, you know, very, very highly.
So do you see it then doing well, commercially well, you know, in terms of sales and everything else? And how much do you think it will affect opinion making in America?
You know, I think there's probably no question that it's going to be a New York Times bestseller, obviously. And I think we can see that just from the, you know, demand for tickets to see her live in some of these events she's doing in very massive arenas here in the U.S. Her first book stop will be in Chicago, where she'll be in conversation with Oprah Winfrey before 20,000 people. I mean, that's sort of unheard of for a former first lady for a book rollout. So I think the numbers are going to be very, very high in terms of book sales. And I think it's interesting to see what kinds of, you know, conversations that launch off of this book.
All right, Krista, we'll leave it at that. Krista joining us from the Washington Post. Thank you so much.